Today's hearing answered one of the biggest questions in the Quadajah Johnson case. What happens now that the Illinois Supreme Court has sent the case back to Judge Michael Clancy? There were some important decisions made about Quadajah's release, including one particular request from her attorney that the judge immediately denied.
When people do the most, I do the analysis. Let's go.
Today, Judge Michael Clancy officially ordered that Quadajah Johnson will be released from the Cook County Jail on today, July 16th. However, she is not being released without restrictions. Quadajah will be released under Level 3 pretrial electronic home monitoring, which is one of the more restrictive levels of pretrial supervision that's available while someone's awaiting trial. But what exactly does Level 3 mean? Well, simply put, Level 3 means that Quadajah's going to be closely supervised by Cook County Pretrial Services while her case is pending. Now, that supervision generally includes things like electronic monitoring and regular contact with a pretrial services officer, compliance with strict movement restrictions, and immediate reporting of any violations to the court. The assigned pretrial services officer was actually present during today's hearing, showing that supervision is going to begin immediately upon her release. Now, here's where things got a bit interesting. Defense attorney Ari Williams argued that Quadajah Johnson should not have to wear an electronic monitoring device at all. Yeah, sis was bold. She explained that Quadajah has a minor child and also wanted the judge to allow her to continue attending dental school, which she said Quadajah was enrolled in before her December 4th arrest. But the judge denied that request. Instead, Judge Clancy ordered that electronic monitoring will be part of Quadajah's release conditions. The prosecution pushed back hard during today's hearing. The state reminded the judge about Quadajah's social media activity, specifically referencing a repost from one of her family members that said, "The Johnsons don't fight, we shoot." Well, after hearing that, Judge Clancy immediately addressed firearms. He ordered that Quadajah must surrender her firearm within 24 hours of her release. He also ordered that she surrendered her concealed carry license, her firearm owner's ID card, and her passport if she has one. And those items must be turned over by Monday, July 20th. The prosecution also asked the judge to impose the maximum release conditions available. And meanwhile, the defense continued asking for less restrictions. And ultimately, Judge Clancy, he kind of landed somewhere in the middle. And here are the conditions that Quadajah must now follow while she's awaiting trial. For starters, she must report to pretrial services under Level 3 supervision. She has to wear an electronic monitoring device. She has to remain on what's called essential movement. That means she may leave home Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. for approved purposes such as work or school, medical appointments, legal obligations, or other activities authorized by pretrial services. It does not mean that she has unlimited freedom during those hours. Quadajah has to personally appear at every court hearing, and she must be on time. She cannot commit any new criminal offenses. She cannot change her address without prior approval. And she cannot leave the state of Illinois. These conditions will remain in effect unless the court later decides to modify them. Another issue discussed today involved court records. Attorney Williams asked Judge Clancy to seal the court records. Well, that request was denied. However, the judge did agree that Quadajah's residential address should remain concealed to protect the information from public disclosure. So while the case itself remains public, her release address will not. There was also a scheduling change. The next court date, scheduled for July 23rd, But the defense requested additional time before the next hearing, and Judge Clancy agreed. The next status hearing is now scheduled for August 11th. Attorney Williams then asked if Quadajah could appear in court by Zoom. Judge Clancy said no. He made it very clear that Quadajah must physically appear in court for all future hearings. No virtual appearances. Now it's important to remember exactly what happened today. Today's hearing was not about deciding guilt or innocence. The judge was only deciding the conditions under which Quadajah will remain free while her murder case moves towards trial. The criminal charges themselves, they haven't changed. The case is still moving forward to trial. The evidence, it hasn't been presented to a jury because this case is still in the evidentiary phase. So jury selection has not begun. And this release should not be confused with an acquittal or any kind of a dismissal. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. There is no decision or verdict regarding Quadajah Johnson's guilt or innocence. Today's action, it simply means that the court determined that under Illinois' pretrial release law and the appellate court's earlier ruling, Quadajah Johnson could be released under strict conditions while awaiting trial. Now, before I wrap up, I just want to address one more thing that came up today, and that's the discussion about Quadajah Johnson's returning to dental school. The defense asked the court to consider allowing Quadajah to continue her education while on pretrial release, explaining that she was pursuing dental school before her arrest. And I know some of you are probably thinking, wait a minute, dental school? While facing a murder case? But this is exactly why pretrial release hearings can be complicated. The court's not deciding today whether someone is guilty or innocent. The question before the judge is this: can this person be released into the community while the case moves forward, and under what conditions? People who get released during pretrial, they still have lives. They have responsibilities, families, careers, and goals that existed before their arrest. Now, whether the court allows someone to continue those things, well, it depends on the conditions set by the judge. And in this particular case, Judge Clancy decided that Quadajah can move forward with certain restrictions, including electronic monitoring and strict supervision. And listen, dental school is no easy task, and I doubt that you can attend dental school online, but those textbooks are probably heavy enough without adding an ankle monitoring to the commute going back and forth to school. But listen, in all seriousness, this is another reminder that the legal system has to balance accountability with the presumption of innocence while a case is still pending. There are a lot of celebrations taking place online after the news of Quadajah Johnson's pretrial release. We can't tell anyone how to feel. We can't tell them how to act. It's just important to me that we continue pushing the message that Quadajah Johnson's guilt or innocence has not been decided. She falls under the guidelines that allowed her to be released today, during pretrial, while she fights her case for murder. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and share it with someone who can use this message. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and leave a comment down below letting me know your thoughts. Do you think Judge Clancy struck the right balance with these release conditions, or do you believe the court should have imposed even stricter conditions? Leave me in the comments. We can continue the conversation there.